Good morning and welcome to a new edition of the Betting Connection podcast. My name's Chris. I'm here as always with my co-host Rob. Rob, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Yeah, it was a bit of a hiccup last weekend. But yeah, looking forward to the next weekend. And yeah, I'm doing good life-wise. And how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, Rob. Betting wise wasn't the best for our podcast last week. Look, I've got bad news to announce. We've had two losing podcasts for the first time this season in a row.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, there was some
It's
strange results
happened.
though. We came close, but no cigar.
It happened. It's not great. Look, it was more or less 3 units again, like the previous week. So look, it's a bad run. It could have been worse, to be fair, if it wasn't for you and your Dutch picks. It could have been worse. I had an absolute disaster. I'm a little bit embarrassed to say, but it was actually a donut from me last week, Rob.
Oh no, oh no. But yeah,
It was it was a
that
donut.
happens, right?
So.
Happens. That's
Well, it happens, but it doesn't really. That's the point. It doesn't really happen, and it certainly doesn't happen. I always feel like there is always a point in a season where things just, yeah, you do have a really bad time personally, and that time is the last kind of couple of weeks for myself. Over the course of the season, still very good. We together have had 15 out of 21 podcasts that have won. So we're still in a good place, but yeah, it hits hard when you have a bad couple of weeks. And I look back at my picks, and I still think they're really solid. I think that there has been some very very strange results, contradicting form, and yeah, just some results that don't make sense, and they've been happening.
Yeah, but that's why we love this game as well, right? There are always strange results. What do you think about the Feyenoord beating Bayern München yesterday? Like, who would have figured that would happen? And
I what Yeah, I
thanks.
was going to mention that to you. You must have been quite proud of that one.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's always good to see a Dutch team win. We had two winners this week in the Champions League, and both teams are going through, or at least it seems to the next phase. So PSV and Feyenoord, shout out for to them. They did a great job. But yeah, we always proud, right? We talked about it before. We really need the wins because then we get more teams in Europe, and the more teams we get in Europe, the more money there is. Because if a Dutch team gets into Europe, it makes more money than his whole budget for the whole season, most of the time. Not for all teams, but for most of the teams. So, yeah, it's quite important. It's not like the big money from England's coming in every year. So we have to do it differently.
Yeah, it's just Champions League money anyway is so important. It doesn't matter what level you are. Obviously, you're mentioning there that it's a big difference for the league that you're in. But even if you're a top team in England, you still need that Champions League money because the difference between that money and not having that money is the difference between potentially getting in the Champions League again the following season.
Yeah, that's true. What do you think about the new format?
I like it, and it's set up really nicely for next week. Have you seen that they're playing every single game at the same time next Wednesday?
Yeah, that's gonna be unbelievable. It's like 17 matches.
18, I think, right? It's 36 teams, right? So 18 matches, and is it 30, yeah, 34, 36 teams, right? Or is it
Yeah, let me
34?
check it. Let me double check it.
I think it's 36.
Um,
But yeah, the
yeah,
point
30.
is, so the point, 18 matches all at the same time. Every goal that goes in is going to change the league. Teams that are in the top eight automatically, teams that fall out of the competition altogether is set up really nice. And I think anyone that had their doubts about this format, I think will change their mind after next week because I think it's going to be the most exciting group stage night ever in the history of the Champions League. Normally, we're looking at dead rubbers at this time, and there are a couple probably dead rubbers, but mostly speaking, it's going to be really exciting. And what I love about it the most is that when you've got because in a normal Champions League format, you've got always got like a worse team from far away in the Eastern Europe or whatever, and you don't have to play those teams twice. So yeah, you occasionally play, one of those teams, but you're getting better matches all the time. Like PSG, Man City last night, fantastic. It's what you want to see, right?
Yeah, I beforehand I wasn't too sure about it, but yeah, looking back at it, it definitely looks like a good change that they did. I also heard, but I'm not really sure, is that it's already, if you go to the next phase, so the top eight it gets a bye, they don't have to play. But the number nine is playing against number 24. The number 10 is playing against number 23, and so on and
Yeah,
so on.
exactly. Yeah, it's a seeding, and I think I did read that right at the beginning. And when I heard people talking about it throughout the season, no one was really mentioning it, and I was like, because people were saying, oh, like teams might rest players once they're qualified. No, every point matters because although the only thing I'll say about that is that you've got potentially Man City and Real Madrid occupying, lower seeds. So it might not be that advantageous later down the line to be one of the top seeds. If you've got I think I read yesterday some statistic guy was working out the odds for, as an Arsenal fan, this guy, he was working out the odds of who we would likely play in the last 16. And it's statistically more chance that we've got to play Real Madrid than anyone else.
Wow. Wow. That was
So,
some setup.
so yeah, that's and judging by the kind of luckless season that Arsenal's had, that's probably bang on. We'll end up finishing second or third in this competition, in the league format, and end up playing Real Madrid. But look, it is what it is. I just find it a bit more. So I think the most important thing is to finish in that top eight and have not to play those two games in February because injuries are piling up with most squads except Liverpool. And yeah, it's looking really difficult to get through February with another two matches of the Champions League because there was already two extra matches through the group stages.
Yeah, that's true. And yeah, let's get into England football, so we can talk a little bit more about Liverpool and not having injuries.
Yeah, well, just before we crack into this weekend, let's just finish on last week because obviously we don't like to gloss over the fact that we didn't have a great week. We've always prided ourselves as being transparent, and we don't want to pretend it's any different. So just personally, Rob, when you have it's not been the greatest couple of weeks, what are your strategies for this week? Is it to play safe? Is it to play less? Is it to try and chase it and play more? What strategies do you have when you're not in the best of runs, betting wise?
Definitely not chasing, because that will never work. And for me, it's back to the drawing boards. Take another look at the matches. Take a look at where we get wrong, and then I'm thinking I sometimes those value picks in a way they are nice, but they're also a little bit uncertain as well. So if you have like a bad weekend like you had last weekend, then all your value picks go wrong, and then you're like, like I should have gone for the more solid route. So I think I'm going this weekend back to a little bit more solid route. I didn't find that many good picks as well, but that's probably my tactic. Just go back to the drawing boards. Maybe the bankroll management also really helps. So you can go down in value of your unit sizes as well if you really don't feel it, and then get back to winning ways, and then shorten up. Like sometimes I go wrong with putting too many picks in one akka, so then I will recoup and go back to single plays and doubles and stuff like that. What is your strategy?
So my strategy is, well, firstly, yeah, trying to find the odd double or treble that's a bit more odds on to make even money. So last night, for example, I found a treble of Celtic, AC Milan, and Leeds. So that was 2.5. That came in, although I was just thinking this is just my luck because Celtic, I don't know if you saw, but they had 3 goals disallowed by VAR and a missed penalty in the first half. And they
Wow.
was very late getting their goal. And I was like, because Milan were winning, Leeds were already in, they won quite comfortably. And I was thinking, my God, how much bad luck am I having at the moment? And then they did get their goal, and it was all fine. So I will be looking for those type of bets. And when it comes to the value picks, which I like to deliver on this pod, I'm still follow the same strategy I always have, the same way I research. I'm not going to change something just because you have bad luck. At the end of the day, I still feel like they're solid picks, and over the course of the season, bankroll management suggests that all is well. So I'm not going to change something too much. I think when I'm chasing value picks, when I'm picking value picks, the reason that a lot of them are value is because the team might be away from home as well. I do pick a lot of away matches, and that can always have danger. Yeah, that's why you're getting the odds that you get, even though where the form would suggest the team is much better. So this week, for example, I've got 4 value picks and 3 of them at home. So I'm going back to finding kind of the home teams that I like, and maybe not the obvious, this team has won 7 of the last 8 and the other team lost 7 of the last 8. It's more about a team that has not been in massively good form, but this should be the game that kickstarts them, and that's the reason you're getting good value while they're at home. But I'm definitely thinking more about home teams this week.
Okay, no, sounds good.
Okay, so yeah, let's crack on to this weekend and the Premier League. This is the fine lines of football, Rob. 89 minutes in the Liverpool game. Arsenal fans are starting to dream about, could it be only 2 points by the end of the game? They end up getting 2 late goals, win the match. Arsenal throw a 2-goal lead away, draw the match, back up to 6 points with a game less played for Liverpool. Big swing in the space of a couple of hours.
Yeah, unbelievable swing, to be honest. I didn't think about it in that way. But yeah, it seems like Liverpool has the luck of the champion at the moment. And they get the final goals, and then all of a sudden, like Darwin Núñez starts scoring as well. So of all people, so yeah, that's really good as a Liverpool fan at the moment. I'm thinking about, like you said earlier, that Liverpool doesn't have that many injuries, and I'm already a big fan of Slot, but yeah, he really seems to have that under control. He has this young kid working with him. He's 31 years old, and you're probably going to hear more about him anytime soon, because if it continues like that, this news going to get out. I think it's Mark Peters or something, and he's done an amazing job, and he did that as well at Feyenoord. And if you look at Feyenoord now as well, they have loads of injuries, and everyone's complaining a little bit about it. Like, why you didn't, like, Slot has a way to keep the players fresh and to keep them hungry on the pitch as well. Like, he's all about the intensity, and that's what I really like. So I want to mention a little shout out to Arne Slot again, as Dutch representative here. So
Well,
yeah, I
I don't know
think that
about Rob. You're starting to sound like his number one fan, to be honest.
I already was. I think I already was this number one fan. Yeah, I really like him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He might be like, he might goes on to be one of the biggest Dutch managers ever. Like, we had strange guys, Louis van Gaal, who acts kind of funny sometimes in the press conference, and now we have this solid Dutch guy that's, yeah, well behaved and does job so far.
He's quite likable, to be honest. As an Arsenal fan in a title race against him, it's a manager that's difficult to hate him.
Yeah, because
He
he's
seems
very honest.
seems he seems yeah, very very honest, very transparent, and he's doing a great job. Let's get it right. I do think things are running Liverpool's way this
Yeah,
season. Injuries being one, but I think you do have control over that a little bit in terms of injury. Yeah, you need luck because sometimes it is bad luck when certain things happen. But yeah, it is the way you manage training, you manage rotation, and he's obviously doing it really well.
yeah. But yeah, there's still a lot football to be played. Did you find any picks that you like in the Premier League this weekend?
I got a couple of leans. It's a difficult card, I think. There's not those kind of value prices. There's some around even, better than even. For example, I like Crystal Palace. this weekend at 2.05, just better than even money. Don't know if you looked at that one, what you think. Palace on a little bit of resurgence home to Brentford.
No, enlighten me. Enlighten me.
Well, like I'm not picking it. It's just I just see Palace changing their fortune. They were always a good team for me, Palace. At the start of the season, I was surprised at how badly they started. And Brentford are just one of these teams where really good at home, not very good away.
Mm.
So I think with Palace's resurgence, I think they won the last two, three of the last four, picked up, draw against Chelsea, won away at West Ham and Leicester. So they're in pretty decent form. And Brentford have only won one away all season against bottom of the league Southampton, and pretty much lost most of the others. So yeah, I kind of like it. I'm not hot on it, but it is going to go to the student acca, and that I really like. Anything that you see?
I like Newcastle, or I dislike Southampton, any way
Yeah,
you like to put
more
it.
to the point.
Then I can see a clear victory for Liverpool, but there's no value in there. I actually like Arsenal a bit. I just got a hunch that they go on to win it. And that's about it. Some interesting matches though. Bournemouth against Nottingham. Very interesting. Manchester City against Chelsea. So yeah, good card, but not a lot of
We'll
patience.
talk about Man City in the quickfire round later. I I will say though, I when I did my research yesterday, this is a game that I had not for a pick, but for the ACCA, and it is on my ACCA. Then after the result last night, I'm not sure if I changed my mind or not, because I feel like Man City were just starting to. Okay, I think they're going to go into a different gear now. And last night's result was surprising, especially after going 2-0 up.
Yeah, and now there's also a big change because they need to win the next fixture in the Champions Leagues as well. So where are you gonna put your priorities this time? Are you gonna put it in the league against Chelsea, or are you gonna do it against Club Brugge? Anyway, they should win at home, but yeah, is there a difference?
Man City went from 1.9 to exactly even money with that result last night for the match against Chelsea. So before the match, because that's exactly when I was doing my research, they were 1.9, and this morning they're 2, just because they
Okay.
lost last night. So maybe that is, an opportunity to take even. I mean, look, I know Man City haven't given a lot of confidence, but it does look like they've turned a little bit. And Chelsea, they've also been in worse form than Man City recently. So I think the fact you've got an opportunity of getting even money for Manchester City at home, I think it's worth just taking a nibble anyway. You're not going to often get that.
That's true. That's true.
So yeah, in terms of official picks, we don't have anything in the Premier League, but some interesting games, and you would imagine that Arsenal and Liverpool will probably both win, so it remains status quo at the top. Do you have an opinion on the top four race, Rob? It's kind of hotting up, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually was leaning towards Newcastle, but then they had this hiccup last week against Bournemouth. In a way, like I was looking at the markets as well for betting wise, and Newcastle had quite good odds to still get into the top four. But if you look at it, yeah, I'm not sure. Wow, it's very interesting. Chelsea now and then slips up. Manchester City seems not to fully there. Then you have Nottingham Forest who are 4 points up, but I'm not sure if they can keep it going. Yeah, it's very interesting, very
Very,
interesting. I'm not sure. I
very
think
interesting.
there can be a lot of changes in there.
And it looks like, at the moment, it looks like there will probably be 5 places for Champions League for England this year with a coefficient. Currently, England are out on top, but things can change. Man City not getting through to the next round would be damaging towards that, and then it depends on what happens after that. But at the moment, it looks like it could be the Premier League. And yeah, I think it's really interesting. It all depends on Nottingham Forest as well. If Nottingham Forest stick around, that's another place gone. And you would imagine that Arsenal and Liverpool will take two of the places. So, you know, there's a lot of teams chasing that last spot or potentially two spots, but they won't know that. So they will be thinking that they need to finish in the top four and they're all going to chase it. So, yeah, very interesting going forward.
Very interesting. And then the fall off of Manchester United and Tottenham, that they were always in the top six. Not gonna happen this year, or definitely not seems like it. So yeah, it's that's why I like football. It's always
Yeah,
changing.
and I would just like to make a little plea there as well. There's a lot of Arsenal fans out there on social media at the moment that would are talking about getting rid of Arteta. Be careful what you wish for, guys. Look at the state of Man United and Tottenham at the moment, and then tell me that you prefer to roll the dice at a different manager and change out somebody that's completely changed the culture and put us into a title race 3 years in a row, third in the Champions League. Come on, get real, guys, get real. This is what could happen.
It's such a competitive competition, like it's unbelievable. But that's why I like to watch it as well. If your team is like Bournemouth or whatever, can beat anyone at a certain
Speaking of
level. They
speaking of
all have
Bournemouth, actually, Rob. Speaking of Bournemouth, that is a team. Could they get there? They are scarily good when they want to be. Yeah, I mean, what a result away at Newcastle.
and flying under the radar. They're only 1 point behind Newcastle. They're only 1 point behind Manchester City. They're only 3 points
Exactly.
behind Chelsea. So yeah, it's like imagine
I
Bournemouth.
know.
Now they have like a long injury list and they still keep on winning.
I know you've got Brighton there as well, only 3 points further back, and then you've got Villa sandwiched between them. I mean, there's so many teams that could still finish in those top 4 or 5 positions. So one to keep an eye on, and interesting. I'm looking at the odds for that top four, and Bournemouth and Villa are the same at 10.0s. You still got mostly the favourites are Man City and Chelsea, but Newcastle were there 2.75 as well. So interesting. I think it's worth a play on someone like a Bournemouth or a Villa at 10.0 to finish in the top four. Might be worth a shout.
What's Brighton? Do you have the odds of Brighton as
Brighton
well?
is 17.
Wow, yeah, you can see. Yeah, but it's all very close there. Even Fulham has a way to break into the top five, I would think.
Yeah, I like Fulham as well. I think the Fulham are just a little bit more capable of some weird and bad results more than the other teams. But anyway, right, okay, Rob. Like I say, let's move on as we don't have any official picks in Premier League, and I am staying away from lower league English football this weekend. It does serve up very different results, weird results, and we spoke about earlier what you need to change when you're on a bit of a losing run. That's one of the things I will change. Stay away a little bit from lower league football. Also, the weather in England this weekend, more storms. There's probably going to be a lot of games called off. So staying away from that. Moving on to Holland, we had some good picks in the Dutch football last week. And when I say we, Rob, I mean you.
Yeah, I was.
VVV VVV underdog last week was a good one. You had a good double there, another value pick. You did well in Holland last week. Is there not anything this weekend?
I found like I know these kind of leagues are definitely the second league is a little bit, yeah, it can goes on and off. So it pops up some strange results, but yeah, luckily to be back on winning streak there. And as you said, like the value is always good in that league. I found a double you could play on a Friday night. I like FC Volendam, as I said earlier on the spot before. We've been backing them for quite a while now. And I like Roda JC to beat Young Utrecht at home. Both teams are playing at home, and you can find them around 1.4-ish. And then if you can add them together, it's just about evens. So if you would like to stay in that league, it's all up to you. But you can make an even double on two big favorites, FC Volendam and Roda JC, to win the match for about even money.
Okay, that's Friday night football in the second division. Yeah.
Yep, and then besides that, I don't have anything that I really like. There are some matches are being postponed for some, so they're not all teams are playing this weekend in Holland. I do like on Friday night the value for FC Utrecht. They are playing Heracles Almelo. We talked about FC Utrecht quite a lot on the spot as well. They had those great results after the winter break. They beat it Feyenoord. They won away from home against RKC, and now they got a draw against AZ. Now they're finally playing against a team that's a little bit less quality. Heracles are sitting 14th, and they just won the last two matches. They won against Almere City, a team that's very near to the bottom, and they won in the cup against a team that is in the second division. And it feels to me like that's why you get so much value on FC Utrecht because yeah, you can find them around 1.95 or maybe you can find it about even your money. And I'm definitely leaning towards FC Utrecht because this is the kind of match that Utrecht needs to win to really stay in the top two fight with Ajax and maybe chase Champions League or maybe the title even like PSV having hiccups. So yeah, lean towards FC Utrecht.
Okay. Yeah, you mentioned PSV there having hiccups. I lost last week. Only 1 point now, Rob. Ajax are behind them. We have talked quite regularly about the title race. Is there a title race? It certainly seems like it's hotting up now.
Yeah, I can't deny it anymore, right? Just 1 point between them. Like, wow, nobody would have thought this would be happening in before the season. Yeah, big shout out to Ajax. They are doing an amazing job, definitely results wise. And to be honest, they actually start to look to play a little bit better as well. Definitely last Sunday. So yeah, they're definitely in the title run. I still think they're lacking a bit of quality and depth if you look at them. But yeah, it's all up for grabs now in Holland because I think you can beat most of the teams now, and then it's all up for the big game between them, the big clashes between Ajax, PSV, and Feyenoord that could still yeah make them win the title. That would be some fun.
Yeah, it really would be. What's happening this weekend, Rob? It doesn't seem like there's a full schedule. There's only 6 or 7 matches, I think,
I
and Ajax are not
think
playing. Is there a reason?
Yeah, I think maybe Feyenoord, they are resting Feyenoord because they have Europe, the last games in Europe. That seems to be a trend that some Dutch teams get more rest when they have to play in Europe. I don't really know why PSV are playing then, but yeah, maybe that's the reason why there's not a full schedule. I can look it up, but I'm not sure why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. Let's move on to always the third country that we speak about, and it's Espana, my home country. And yeah, again, finding it difficult value now. The top three teams are just, every week seems to be the odds are going down and down and down. It doesn't seem to be much value. You have to look at fading teams. And again, that's what I'm doing this weekend, Rob, is fading a team.
Okay, who are you feeding this weekend?
Who am I fading? Well, we fade this team all the time, and it's one of our favourites, Espanyol. We love to fade Espanyol. But the team that's playing Espanyol this weekend is a team that I didn't speak about very highly last weekend and actually lost me my bet. I picked Girona to beat Sevilla last week. I called Sevilla a bit of a nothing team, a bit of a meh team. I still believe that. But this time, Sevilla are playing against Espanyol. And Espanyol, as I said there, is one of our favourite teams to fade in the league. They're second from bottom, seem absolutely terrible. They won last weekend, actually, Espanyol. Who did they beat? The only team that's worse than them in the league, Valladolid, our number one favourite team to fade this season. So, yeah, that doesn't actually tell me much about Espanyol, only kind of proves the point they're the second worst team in the league, not the worst team. Sevilla won last week, as we know, against Girona. I found that a really surprising result based on Girona having a pretty decent home record and Sevilla were terrible away. So I do stand by that pick and stand by that being a surprise. But when I'm talking about Sevilla being a little bit of a team, it doesn't apply as much when you look at their home form. Their home form is actually pretty decent. They've lost 3 games this season at home, but they were to teams all sitting currently in the top 8. Obviously unbeaten in the rest, which make up 7 more matches, and they won 5 of those. So they're generally doing quite well at home, and they are beating teams that they should. Espanyol, what can I say? We talk about this team all the time. They've played 9 away games this season, and they've lost 8 of them. So nothing more really to say on Espanyol. And Sevilla also have a really good record in this matchup. They're unbeaten in the last 7 meetings in La Liga, winning 5 of those 7, including the last 3 in a row. So good historical matchup. Sevilla, decent enough home team. Espanyol, terrible. If I'm trying to turn my fortunes, this is the sort of game I'm looking at. 1.7, nicely on that value pick range. Home team, win.
Okay, you sold it to me. Sounds good. I like Sevilla as well. And definitely because you're fading Espanyol. And 8 out of 9 losses in away matches. Let's make it 9 out of 10.
And that's pretty much it, really. When you look at the other fixtures, Real Madrid and Barcelona these days are always around 1.2. I'm not touching Real Madrid anyway, as listeners will know. They're on my naughty list for the rest of the season. Atletico, what do you think of Atletico Madrid at home to Villarreal? That's 1.67. Kind of looked at that, but Villarreal can get results as well. And just, Atletico didn't have a good result last weekend. Not too sure about that one.
No, me neither. They did had a good result during the Champions League, but it's the opposition that makes me go away from this match. Villarreal is a very it can go up and down. Like they can score 4 goals in 15 minutes sometimes in matches. Like they tend to score a lot of goals. And I'm just staying away from that match just to be sure. I think it's a little bit short on Atletico. If it was about even money, I would definitely think about it. But when it's like 1.6, it's, in my opinion, too short.
Yeah, agreed. I think again, looking to find ways of doubling money, you could look at something like a Real Madrid, Barcelona and Athletic Club Bilbao treble. That makes up about even money. And then the sort of things I do look for, there's no point in me coming on here and making predictions like that. We can all pick 1.2s, So I think sometimes when it gets to this part of the season now, the best teams generally do find their form, find their rhythm. So I think there is more value in those type of bets, a little bit of the shorter ones, combining them for even money. So I think that's a potential play here. And other than that, there's no single value picks in Spain.
Okay, let's move on.
Let's move on to Germany. And I mentioned that I'm mostly picking home teams this weekend. This is my one away team. But the reason that I'm going for this one is because they have not really let me down this season. And it's Eintracht Frankfurt.
Hey.
Eintracht Frankfurt, they just keep going, right? They're just hanging around. They're hanging around, putting pressure on the top 2. And it's interesting, I think, and we're still finding good value on them. That's the surprising thing. They are 2.2 to win this match away at Hoffenheim. So both teams actually won last week. Okay, Hoffenheim won away from home, but they were playing second from bottom Holstein Kiel, who we know are not that good. And Eintracht Frankfurt, had a very impressive winning against Dortmund. So both teams come off a win, but I think they're different standards of wins, you could say. And Hoffenheim previously to that had lost the three previous matches in a row. and they've lost their last two at home. So showing not particularly good form. Eintracht Frankfurt, as I said, they're just hanging in there. They're still third in the league. They're back into a bit of a rhythm again. They've now won 3 in a row. And if either of those two teams or one of those teams do slip up, they're there ready to pounce. And they're creating a little bit of a gap between them and fourth place now as well. So they're kind of sitting there in third place comfortably with 4-point gap and with about the same gap to the guys above them. It could still go there. They could still catch there if they continue to win. Hoffenheim, they're fourth from bottom. Home record is not very good neither. They've got 10 points from their 9 home matches. And Frankfurt is just a team that's solid home and away. So you can get good results from them at home or away. And they have a good record in this meeting as well. They've won 8 of their last Bundesliga meetings against Hoffenheim, including the last 3 in a row. Incidentally, all 3 of those games were 3-1 scorelines as well. So they've won the last 3 matches 3-1. So if you want a little bet on that as well, could be interesting. But yeah, I like Frankfurt, and I'm surprised to see them at 2.2.
Okay, good value, definitely. There's a good price.
Who's your pick for the title? Do you think it will be Bayern Munich, or do you think Leverkusen can do it again?
Wow, historically speaking, I will choose Bayern. Like if I had to free bet, it should be Bayern, to be honest. I can't see them not winning. It's like a PSV thing. But then again, it could go either way. Like I always rooting for the underdog, to be honest. Like I always like the underdog to win. So definitely Leverkusen with Alonso is a very good success story. So yeah, I like Leverkusen as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see Leverkusen win again, just for the pure humour of Harry Kane not winning trophies. So that would be my pick. But I got a feeling Bayern Munich will probably see it home this season. But still interesting. It's close, and like I say, Eintracht Frankfurt are not a million miles away. So win this game, keep winning. You never know. You never know.
By the way, I have a pick that in the second Bundesliga that I like.
Okay.
Looking like normally I don't bet this one, but it was a little bit hard to find any good picks. So I was looking at a different kind of league this time. So the second Bundesliga, it's on Friday, and Magdeburg is playing against Eintracht Braunschweig, and you can back Magdeburg for 1.7. And I always like to look at form and at the standing in the table. Magdeburg is a team that's second in the table, first in form table. They are together with Hamburg and FC Köln top of the league at the moment. And Eintracht Braunschweig is second to last with just 14 points at the moment. If you look at the last couple of matches, they didn't play that much after the winter break, but Magdeburg got back to winning ways, and Eintracht Braunschweig got a draw. You can back Magdeburg at home for 1.7.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So you went to a couple of different divisions to try and find value this weekend.
Yeah, and then I like to see who's chasing for the title, and then sometimes and I know a little bit of the second Bundesliga, and it's also a very competitive league with some strange results, but that's why you get 1.7 for the second in the league against second bottom of the league. So at home. So if you want to find some value for your big home favorites, this one could be this match could be it.
It does, yeah. It does seem a bit of a mismatch for a decent value price there. So yeah, interesting. Nicely found.
Yes.
Okay, let's move on to the last country we'll talk about. And this is a country I do revert to sometimes to find home value, and it is France. There was a time I've historically over the years made quite a bit of money in France. There was a statistic that suggested that France had the highest percentage of home wins over the course of a season. I think that was the last season and the season before last. I'm not sure about this season, but Oh, we'll check that out actually. But it's a league that generally sees home wins. So that's where I'm going. I'm going with 2 matches and 2 home wins. And the first one is also a Friday night match, and it's Auxerre. Auxerre are playing at home versus Saint Etienne. And yeah, you can find Auxerre 1.91. Neither team are in good form. And that's why you've got this matchup with the odds that you have. Neither team in good form. They've won 2 of the last 8. Auxerre have not actually won in the last 6, so I'm not exactly selling them at the moment. But when you analyse it in a little bit more detail, that run of 6 consists of 3 away losses and 3 home draws. Those home draws, however, are against PSG, Lens, and Lille, which are teams, PSG speak for themselves. Lens and Lille are also in the top 7. So you could actually argue that their 3 home matches have actually been good results and they've just lost their 3 away matches. Saint Etienne, who are 3rd from bottom, I mean, this is just a poor team all round. They're the 2nd worst in the league for scoring goals and 2nd worst in the league for conceding goals. So they're bad at both ends of the pitch. They've only got 1 point away all season away from home, losing 8 of the 9. So this is a game where I just see it as Auxerre's home form overall isn't terrible. They're in bad form. It's why you're getting 1.91. I've explained that form, and I just think that this is the perfect type of match where Auxerre can turn those home draws against better opposition into a win against a team that has only got 1 point away from home all season. 1.91, Auxerre.
Okay. You have another pick in France?
Yes, I do. And it's Monaco. Monaco, okay, they're playing Rennes. Rennes, I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. And they are 1.7 on that nice, on that value pick range that we often find. And this is another team. They're not in great form. This is more about fading Rennes. Monaco are actually winless in 4 in the last 4, but 3 of those matches have been away from home. And the 1 match at home in that period was a home loss to PSG. So you've always got to look at this context. Sometimes bookies give favourable prices because of form, but you have to break that form down and understand who they've been playing. And Monaco just come off a Champions League win at home to Aston Villa as well. So I feel like, this could be a game, the perfect kind of game to kick on in the league. They're sitting in 3rd place in the league, so they're still in Champions League qualification contention. And as I say, this is about fading Rennes. They're up against a team that have lost 6 of the last 8, including the last 3 in a row. And like Saint Etienne before them, this is a team that also only have 1 point away from home. They've actually played 1 less, but they've lost 7 out of their 8 away matches. So terrible on the road. And Monaco also have a nice historical meeting against this team. They've won 7 of the last 10, including the last 3 in a row. And 4 of the 5 home matches they've played in that period have been wins, with the other one being a draw. So they get the job done in this fixture. Need to turn their form around. They're sitting well in the league, coming off a good Champions League win. Yeah, they've played a lot of away games recently. At home, getting good value at 1.7.
Okay, sounds good.
So slightly different angle with teams. I've been picking a lot lately that the team is in amazing form, the other team's in bad form, and obviously it's just a mismatch in form. Hasn't actually gone my way the last couple of weeks. So these are slightly different way of looking at it. Teams are not technically in good form, but there is context behind that, and this should be the game that changes that fortune for them. So yeah, let's go and hope for good wins for Auxerre and Monaco.
Okay, let's go. Home teams in France.
Let's go. Okay, so moving on to the next portion of the podcast where we do the quick fire round. We have two matches. I'm finding it really difficult to find one top match on a Saturday and one top match on a Sunday. They're normally coming on the same day recently, so that's the case again. We've got Manchester City versus Chelsea this weekend. We touched on earlier, and another Italian classic, Rob, Napoli versus Juventus.
Am I going for another draw or not?
I don't know. I don't know what you're going to go for, but we're going to find out. For
Let's
anyone
go.
listening for the first time, Rob, just quickly explanation. We take two big games of the weekend. We take it in turns to speak about them for 30 seconds. We finish with a scoreline prediction and an anytime goal scorer for those fun bets where we can find big odds. So who's going first with Man City versus Chelsea?
You can go first. I will count you in.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, count me in.
3, 2, 1, go.
So before last night's game, I really fancied Man City to win this. I feel like they have turned a corner. They're making some moves in the transfer window. Chelsea have not been very impressive lately, and I think it's, youth and just catching up with them a little bit, and maybe things are starting to balance out a little bit after a good start. I'm still going to go a Man City win, though. Playing at home, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win. Foden, who's in good form, 21.0.
Okay. Sounds good. Foden,
Okay,
good for your
Foden.
FPL teams.
He's sorry, say that again.
He's good for your FPL teams lately.
Yeah, usually he's just turned a corner again. So once he catches form, it often ends in high numbers.
That's true. Okay.
So
You want to
are
count
you?
me in?
Yeah, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, Manchester City versus Chelsea. I think its match could go either way. Manchester City didn't. This is not selling it to me yet. Chelsea probably gonna play a second team in the Europe League, so they're fresh. I'm going for a 2-2 draw. A lot of goals, and I like Kevin De Bruyne to score 36.0.
36.0. 5 seconds to spare as well.
I
Sounds like
wasn't counting.
Sounds like a doable. Doable. I think there will be goals. We've both gone goals, 3-1 and 2-2. And yeah, De Bruyne tends to score in big games. He's been playing well, actually. There is such a difference, isn't it? The balls, the crosses that he puts into the box, fantastic. Best in the league for that.
Yeah, definitely.
So we both go in goals and should be a good match. The other match we are talking about is an Italian classic. For those that have never listened to this pod, you will know that Rob loves going for 0-0s in the Italian classics. Although I'm not sure Napoli, do they count as an original Italian top team? Not too sure. Is this a classic Italian match, or does Napoli not really count?
Depends on which way you look at it. Definitely during the time of Maradona, he brought them up really. Yeah, before that they weren't that well known, or maybe in my opinion they weren't that well known. And since Maradona was at Napoli, they're sort of the big team, definitely in the south of Italy. And yeah, it's a team that's always wants to fight against the north, right? They go against Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan. They're like, oh, we're gonna get them. So I like Napoli a lot. Definitely because of the story of Maradona. I read the whole autobiography, I don't know, biography from Diego. And then I actually start to follow Napoli now and then. And I don't think they're part of the like Juventus, Inter Milan, AC Milan, but definitely for the last decade they've been around the top four. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I like Napoli generally, and as you say, remember them from the Maradona days. Not, I suppose, not. I don't know if people see them in the same way as classical teams of your Milans and Juventus, but yeah, For me, they are and should be considered up there. They are currently top of the league, and it's going to be an interesting game. Let's talk about it. Your turn to go first. I shall count you in. Then three, two, one, go.
Okay, this time I'm not going for the classical Italian scoreline. Although we had this one 0-0 beforehand, I'm going for 1-0 win for Napoli, the team in form. And finally, Juventus is gonna lose a match that they did not do before. And I'm thinking the big Belgium guy to score, Romelu Lukaku, and you can find it at 21.0.
Nice. Bang on time. So we got Lukaku 1-0 Napoli.
Yeah.
Do you want to count me in?
Yes. 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, as you say, Juventus unbeaten this season. Absolutely nuts. They've not lost a league game all season, currently invincible, but are sitting in fifth. So you can imagine how many draws they have got. I do think, as well as you, that this is the game that they finally lose. And I'm going to go. In fact, Napoli have won 5 in a row at home against Juventus as well. So I'm going for the 6th, 2-0, and Scott McTominay, 21.0.
Wow, Scott McTominay. Let's go.
Saucing it up in the Italian leagues. Doing really well. Man United must wish they had a player like that right now.
It always seems like it, right? It always seems like every player that they have, they don't want to have, and the players that they sold, they should have kept, and the other way around. And yeah, but I like to see those English players going abroad because it's not like a normal thing to do. So it's quite, I like those players that go abroad. I think it was Steve McManaman, right, who played for Real Madrid.
Yep.
Like that's unbelievable. I never knew. Yeah, I heard about Steve McManaman, but I'm not sure how good he was. And David Beckham, Real Madrid, and you have Paul Gascoigne, right, going to Italy, but not that many players go.
There's
So
not many, and generally speaking, you're talking about superstars there as well. Even McManaman, to an extent, was a superstar in the 90s. Scott McTominay and Napoli are a partnership that you wouldn't put together in your wildest dreams. I mean, it's just a bit of a nut situation, right? But fair play to the guy. Like, he's gone out there and he's actually doing really well, and they love him out there.
they do. Okay,
Nuts,
that's
absolute nuts. Scott McTominay and Napoli. Who would have thought it? Right. Anyway, big gun hackers. Well, both hackers up next.
oh the
What is
top
big
five,
gun
right?
hacker? Huh?
We got the top five.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the top five
I
that
got a
we've
top
been
five for
in the
you.
last year. You got something ready for me? You didn't mention anything, so I didn't know you had anything prepared. It's your turn for me.
Yeah, top five. And
Okay.
we have quite a few listeners as well from the African continent. So this time I was thinking top five African players. So from the continent.
Oh, okay. Just the
Yes?
full stop. Doesn't matter what league they played in. Full stop.
Yep. Everything is in there. I'm going to
Okay.
start off with a nice one for you. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang.
I think where you can go with the quality of players on this list, I'm going to go 5.
Wow. Wow. That's five. That's five. Okay. Um, okay, I go for the next one. Sadio Mane.
This is really difficult because Sadio Mane, he was a great player, wasn't he? But yeah, you could still go better than that. 3.
Three. El Hadji Diouf.
Oh, damn it. I messed it up a little bit. 4.
Four. Okay, then we go for the next one. JJ Okocha.
Oh, I love Okocha. Not sure he's better than Mane, but he was so skillful. I mean, he can't be number 1. So yeah, number 2.
Okay, then I will go Samuel Eto'o.
That's not a bad number 1 to have.
No, he's not that bad.
That's not
It's all
bad.
right.
Bad. Yeah, I think if you've given me, so what we've got Aubameyang 5, Juve 4, Mane 3, Kocha 2, and Etu 1. Yeah, I think if I had them up front, I'd probably swap Aubameyang and Juve around, and I'd probably swap Kocha and Mane around. But I'd stick with Etu as number 1.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, well, it's
Good.
interesting list to be honest. I've just like asked them like give me like 30 players from the best players from Africa, and like incredible players are on there. It says George Weah number one.
I was expecting George Ware.
Yeah, I know, but I have to make up like and you have both Tourés, Kolo and yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, Michael Ashan, Noanko Kanu, like yeah, some good
I
players
love
in
Callum.
Africa.
Yeah, good, good. That's why I went 5 with Aubameyang because you could, there was a lot to
Yeah,
potentially
that's
come. Okay, let's move on to those Accas then. The Big Gun Acca did not win last week. It was actually finished on Friday night, if I remember. Galatasaray let
yeah.
us down before it even started. So, what have you got for us this weekend?
Whew, I got a 4 this time. I have PSV, Liverpool, Newcastle, Celtic. You can find this 4 for 1.94. So it's very short for me, but yeah, it's fine. Big Kanaka,
Okay.
like it's supposed to be.
Okay, yeah, even money, more or less. Big Gun Acca, let's get back to winning ways.
Okay.
So, what have I got? I've got the student ACCA. I've gone a bit bigger. I've gone 17.32. I've also got Newcastle. I've got Arsenal. I've got Man City. I've got Crystal Palace. I've got Bologna. I've actually, we're going to speak about Bologna this week. I do like this one. Not enough for an official pick, but they're away from home in good form. And I've got Assad Alkmaar. And
Okay.
yeah, so it's a six-fold, and that is 17.32. There's a couple of, but again, I've gone home on those kind of risky ones. Man City and Palace, home teams. So that's the theme of the weekend. Trying to stay a bit safe. You've gone a bit safer on the big Ganaka. Student is just a bit of a roll in the dice anyway, but on the risky ones, I've gone home matches, and we've gone for some reasonable value picks as well, not going crazy 2.5, 2.6. I think we've tried to make it a little bit safer this weekend all round, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Back to if you lost twice, then we have to regain our confidence, or at least for a little bit. And then this weekend's gonna be the winner again.
Yeah, I feel good about those picks. I feel good about the Yoraka, and yeah, let's do it. Let's get back to winning ways. There's no way we're going to accept 3 losses in a row. It's not going to happen, Rob. It's going to be an amazing weekend. I will definitely be looking forward to it, and definitely looking forward to that Champions League shootout next Wednesday. In the meantime, where can people find us on the socials?
We still have bet of the week left.
Oh, we do. Geez, I am jumping the gun today, Rob. I'm in a rush to get out. But we
Okay.
do have Bet of the Week. And you did win your Bet of the Week last week. So you are now 3 up on me. So
Wow.
yeah, you've opened up a gap. What are you going for this weekend?
I was contemplating FC Magdeburg, but maybe it's a little bit too short for you. So I will put my double on the Dutch second division of FC Volendam and Roda JC to win both of the matches, and you can find it at around even money.
Okay. My Bet of the Week is Monaco.
Okay.
Monaco at home, third in the league, coming off a good Champions League win. Yeah, let's go Monaco, 1.7. And that does take us to the end of the pod, but I'll quickly round that up as well for people as well, just before I do. So, yeah, we had a lean on Crystal Palace, but just a lean, and that is in the ACCA. We then have your Bet of the Week, Volendam and Roda at even money. You had a lean with FC Utrecht. We had Sevilla at home to Espanyol. We had Eintracht Frankfurt. We had Magdeburg. Is that how you say it? How do you say Magdeburg?
Magdeburg.
Magdeburg at 1.7. We had two French home teams with Auxerre at 1.9. My bet of the week, Monaco, 1.7. We have a safe big gun, Aka. We will get back to winning ways. And finally, Rob, where can people find us?
Yeah, you can find us across the socials. You can find us on X. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Blue Sky. You can find us for listening to our podcast. You can find us on YouTube. We are on Spotify podcast and we are on Apple Podcasts as well, and across various different platforms where you can listen to your podcast. Just fill in the betting connection. We really appreciate you commenting and liking our page and subscribing. So yeah, we're growing in numbers. So let's keep it going.
Yeah, I concur. Have an amazing weekend, guys. Let's do this. Definitely a winning weekend coming up. All that's left for me to say is ciao for now.
Happy bettings.